Welcome to the VibesCast. Vibes and Logic is doing a series of interviews with the company's advisors in Brain Trust. Today, we have our advisor, AJ Joseph from Adobe. AJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you. And hey, Ivan, how are you?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
AJ, so what's the log line on you and Ivan's relationship? Give us the cinematic trailer to the 3-hour epic.
Oh my gosh. It'd be more like a sizzle reel. I think it would be
give us the stinger transition.
It would be a little bit of a stinger. I don't. We've all been in the industry for a very long time. Ivan used to own a digital agency. I worked with Ivan. That's where I first met Ivan. Saw a lot of the work that he was doing and his team was doing in digital, and was super inspired. Wanted to meet him. Wanted to meet his team. Understand how they could help us elevate Adobe's brand. I was just going to say, we've done so much experimentation together over the many years that we've worked together professionally for 20-ish years, but professionally and personally. We've had so much fun together experimenting and just like trying to think of all the things that we've done, from augmented reality to projection mapping to interactive experiences, like super deep and rich interactive experiences, entertainment. We've worked on Black Eyed Peas together. We've explored so many different territories in immersive over the years. And even when immersive was not even immersive, right? Like, at the start of this whole thing, augmented reality, we did the first augmented reality music video together with John Mayer, which was a territory on its own. No one had been doing anything like what we were doing. And we started.
Like we planned like the whole content production process, and which pieces will be green screened and made interactive. I would argue like back then, it was all immersive. It just wasn't as 3D. It was just
super 3D. Beta though. Like, yeah. I mean, we started with Flar Toolkit, and integrating Flash and ActionScript, and it's just something that was otherworldly. People were just blown away. They didn't even understand what it meant to actually have those types of experiences. So our relationship goes through a lot of different tests and I don't know.
Inspiring battle scars together. We
a lot of battle scars together for sure. I mean, doing a lot of firsts, you have a tendency to hit a lot of overcome massive hurdles. Even technology failing on stage at max, and then recouping and having one of the best shows that we've ever had. So it's there's a lot of battle scars there, but a lot of triumphs as well.
Well, that's incredible. You guys seem to have a very colorful history that we probably will get into more in a little bit here. But tell us, what do you do / are responsible for / what overarching hat do you wear at Adobe?
I wear a lot of different hats on a daily basis, but I run the creative expression for Adobe. So that's anything from corporate to creative cloud products to Acrobat. We produce anything from advertising, creative to documentary films, feature films now, as well as, the world's biggest creative conference, Max. So a lot of different altitudes with a lot of really, really incredible and some of the world's most amazing creatives is where I exist on a regular basis.
That's incredible.
When you put together an event like Max, what I didn't know, kind of starting to work with Adobe, is just the massive amounts of people that are part of this production. It's kind of sometimes when I've been in the backstage in music festivals and you see like all the computer and gears and visualization, is that like times 10, because there's a lot of redundancies, and these shows are live and you can't have technology fail on stage, right? Like you become, we've seen it happen. We know what happens with it, right? So there's like,
it happens frequently. It's really tragic when it happens, especially when you've got 15,000 people sitting down, and the 35, 40,000 lumen projectors that you've got with even hot backups, all the heat rising from the people in the AC, in the environment, convects and pulls the projectors out of focus. And so where you once had like this perfect seam of this amazing visual experience, and now just suddenly goes into full blur, and you kind of have no control over any of it, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope that we can get the temperature back to a place, and the hot backups can get up, so that we lose some of these issues. But it's always constantly like, it's a massive production. It's like a launch platform behind the stage, and it's one of the biggest visual events, creative events that, it is the biggest creative event in the world. So it's a big deal.
That's incredible. That's incredible. And, with the position that you have, you probably are in a situation where you're dealing with the best of the best. You're dealing with the best of the best designers. You're dealing with the best of people from tech. But, when we candidly, before we started this interview, you said something very interesting to me, which was that you're still a designer at heart. Even that you are in this position, that you kind of have some of the dopest stuff in the world that kind of proverbially hits your desk. But how do you stay curious about your industry, maybe even from just a designer's perspective, when you kind of almost have, you're the riverman, you're the gatekeeper of the dope stuff that exists. How do you still stay curious when you kind of have everything?
I don't know that. I would just say that I'm part of a broad community, and I think that I'm always constantly looking out for new talent. And I've got an incredible team also that's searching and thirsty and loves to bring new talent to the table. And and across from all over the world. I mean, it's the creative community is just pumping right now, and it's so cool to interact with such diverse individuals. We've never ever seen anything like we're seeing right now, which is the accessibility of creativity across the board, and people and their cultures bringing that into creativity. And for me, it's like, as a designer, I'm always constantly trying to see who's doing what, what's the next interesting thing? What's the next design of this thing? What are the new innovations that are happening in creativity? I find all of that, it's fascinating. It drives me for real.
Are there any recent, I guess let's begin with any recent innovations in, as you say, design and creativity, anything recent that you've seen that again has hit the desk, that has really wowed you, something that you think is pretty specifically innovative?
It's so frequent now, right? Like,
I can imagine.
Everyone's blasting, Web3, metaverse, like, you're seeing so many incredible, both practical and digital immersive experiences. This is really a unique time in our history, where it's thriving, creativity and innovation thriving like never before. I don't know if that has something to do with, COVID and people being confined or isolated, where they're just so invested in pushing their craft forward. But it's a super interesting time. I don't have one thing specifically. I look at stuff every single day. And that's on my feeds, or, I'm looking through Behance to see, who's doing what illustration or design, or, I'm all over a bunch of different surfaces, and the things that catch my eye are things that I flag for my team, or I, put in my back pocket when something arises where I'm like, oh, we're building an identity system, and, so-and-so has really got a unique style about them, and, we'll pull them into the fold at that point.
It's funny that's actually exactly how I found Mart. I found a piece of art that he really liked that he had done. I didn't know who he was. I did an image search in Google. I think now it's called Google Lens. And then I landed on the Behance portfolio and explore the rest of the work. It was like, this is our guy.
Yeah, and I've worked with Mark for years, which is funny. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know them. Yes, I do. They're fantastic. They've worked and done some work for me as well. It's interesting now, like how you can connect. You can be on Instagram, or you see something, you're like, great, I'm going to follow this individual. Then you start to kind of get deep into their work, or again, following them on Behance, where they start throwing together some work, and you kind of end up connecting the dots with a project that you've got, or a concept that starts to come forward. You're like, great, I can connect the dots, and like now it's taking on this whole other expression, which is really fun.
Why do you think those two musical artists and I guess the designers and the design tech people of the world, why do you think that's such a no-brainer, two peas in the pod kind of relationship?
Why we want to be associated with, people like Black Eyed Peas or John Mayer, or Billie Eilish or Lil Nas X. Mm-hmm. it's creativity at its finest. It is culture, music and artistry and creativity. It's the sweet spot that we have. I mean, it's kind of where you want to be.
Going into partnerships and collaborations like that, do you guys have some predisposed kind of notions about, hey, this artist maybe is going to need some help kind of coming up with ideas? Or does it mostly feel like a lot of these big artists that you guys collaborate with kind of pretty much have a really big vision already coming into it?
I mean, I think both. I think that some people have a really determined, like, I want to push the envelope. It looks kind of like this. A lot of artists are really, they have a defined brand, and you're like, how can we augment this brand, right? Like, and I think that's kind of where a lot of people, at least it's been my experience when interacting with these individuals and their camps too, where you're like, you expect us to come to the table with the technology, the top level creative chops, like, and we find middle ground there. We collaborate really well. It's always been surprisingly delightful to work with various artists and how open they are and how collaborative they are. Because they appreciate the same things that we do, right? We love the texture and the lighting and the design and the atmosphere and, the technology layer and the storytelling. And it's such a rich part of their whole lives, as creatives. So it's a really instant middle ground that we find with these artists, because they're creators. I mean, they're not unlike any of us.
That's an incredible way to put it. What do you think about that, Ivan?
What was really surprising to me about the combination of music and art, or music and visuals, perhaps more generally, is that when I was listening to a Reid Hoffman podcast, he just kind of casually threw out this stat that I decided to look into, which was, oh yeah, the brain, is wired, 70% of the activity in the brain is related to sight and vision, and the other 30% are divided by the rest of the senses, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is like, A, so interesting, and B, exactly why we need to create these audio-visual experiences that are, going hand in hand.
Right.
And I think that's exactly kind of what's missing from the live event versus the at-home experience when listening to music is, we've turned off that 70% that's part of the music experience of the live event. So yeah, I think combining the audio and the video into one kind of experience
it dimensionalizes it, right? And sometimes it's okay to have a flat musical experience, right? But the reason you go to a concert or an event like this is so that you can have all your senses firing at the same time and you feel energized, right? Like it's that energy that's so super important. And that comes from atmosphere, that comes from the sight, like you're saying, as well as the sound. So I think it's really about dimensionalizing music, right?
All these events, they have an army of visual designers that work with those music artists to create those visuals in those moments. And how do the lights dim, or, when we fire off the fireworks, and these are, this is an important talent that is perhaps a little bit under-recognized in the music festival experience, right? They're always like in the sound booth, and they have the best seat, the best sound seat in the house, but nobody goes to them and wants their autograph for amazing visuals, man. Right.
Maybe that's the future, though. And AJ, I mean, you have such a unique kind of vantage point for all of the the different ways that people are interfacing with digital tools and software for design, whether it is for design serving design for musicians. What do you think, in your opinion, the tools of the future are kind of going to be like, whether it's for musicians, whether it's for designers? What do you think that's going to be like? Like, what kind of problems that we don't know need solving now are going to be solved in the future?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great and super large question, right? Like, I mean,
the sizzle reel.
That's pretty heavy. I mean, I would say tool-wise, once we, and again, Ivan and I were doing augmented reality, I don't know, 15 years ago, but I would say, augmented reality really has a place in, immersive creativity, right? Like, and So just from a creative perspective, I think that there's, creating in an immersive space is going to be just as important as experiencing immersive, right? Like, tools, environment, the same thing that, is getting you juiced in your studio, you can do that fully digitally. And then once that flow happens, you're like, okay, let's where are the tools, how can I use these tools to augment my environment, to create new designs, to, artistry. And so it's like, there's a convergence that's going to happen between the creation side and the experience side. So I would just say, like, the future is really kind of unknown, but it's definitely going to be far more immersive than it is currently, right? Where it's like, I'm on a single plane, I'm listening to music, I've got my environment going, and now I'm designing or I'm creating. Like, there are so many more dimensions to that opportunity. I keep using the word dimensions, but like, there's a lot more. There's a lot more.
We're designers here.
Right. There's a lot more to that experience that has totally it's undiscovered, right? And I'm hopeful for what that means for, my kid's a designer, like my other kids are creative, like so how they're going to use these environments and these spaces and to heighten their creative execution. So I'm really excited about that. In terms of, I don't remember I just dug into the tools.
No, that was beautiful. And listen, and with that said, the segue is, where do you see Vibes and Logic fitting into that future? And if you could maybe touch on what kind of excited you about, bringing some of your knowledge and your expertise into the creation of Vibes and Logic as a product and a platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that Vibes and Logic hits on a few sides for me. One, again, I think Vibes and Logic is the premise behind this is really, dimensionalizing music in ways that we have yet to experience it. I would say, but there's the practical and very digital nature of that. And I think that those two things are such a powerful thing from my perspective. Like, my environment it's inspiring, it's interesting, it's a collection or a curation of things, but I don't feel like, this is cheesy, I don't feel like the vibe is right. And it's, and I've yet to achieve the thing that I think is in my head in terms of like the different smart, hue light bulbs. And like, I've tried all that stuff and so even just by my practical environment, I'm like, I really love the promise of what Vibes and Logic has got in terms of the product development and or the thinking behind what the in-home experience could or should be. And I find that super fascinating. Like it is definitely a gap in my world. And I'm like, I really, I want to achieve a place that has balance with the mood that I'm in, with the music and experience that I want to have happen in my in-home environment, right? Like, so I think that's part of it. And then the digital, super nerdy side, like our artistic, like art and music joining in ways that are things that no one has ever experienced, and really thinking through how, we can disrupt all of that and create new avenues for musical artists and digital creators, and what it means for community and what it means for creativity, I think is really what's I'm most attracted to. Like that is at the heart and soul. When Ivan told me about this entire program, I'm like, oh yeah, that is my sweet spot. Like that is absolutely. I love where you're heading, because it's totally where I belong and where I want to understand how I can help him and the team elevate that work. And that's my place is is helping guide that vision. And again, I've known Ivan for a very long time, both personally and professionally. And so I love being on this journey with him. I think it's going to be really exciting. And we've done some of the craziest shit you've ever seen. And I can't wait to make more crazy shit. Like, I want to do more of that. So I feel like this is a really good environment. The thinking's super sound. And again, for me, it's that super immersive digital and very practical experiences kind of one and blurring the lines between those two, I think, is a big important part of the journey for me.
AJ, I'll be very honest with you. I was like, if AJ tells me this is the dumbest idea ever, I was gonna throw the project out, because you were one of the first people that I came to, and I don't know if you remember, but I begged you. I said, AJ, please be a good friend and tell me right now to stop wasting my time and energy and resources to this project. And I think I don't know if you remember, AJ. I don't know if you remember, but your reaction was like, "Fuck yeah, go do this right now."
No, it still is. I'm like, keep doing this.
Yeah.
This thing has to exist. This has to be part of our lives and part of our experiences, and it will change. It will change the way that people understand what it means to have those types of experiences, right?
Like the mental health kind of stress, de-stress.
So many parts of that. I mean, everybody. Yeah, I mean, everybody totally needs to take a break right now, right? Yeah. And I think I could totally see this as being part of something that would, calm me down after a really high stakes day. Where I'm like, I want to sit down and, it's 8 o'clock at night and have a glass of wine and really, go to one of these places and experience, something that can take me out of my own head.
What was the first festival or concert you ever went to that kind of left an impression on you?
Oh, that would have been Beastie Boys for sure.
Oh, wow. My God.
Wow. How old were you?
Long time ago. That would have been 90. No, probably 91, maybe 91.
And what was the impression?
How'd that make you feel? How'd that make you feel? What was the energy, if you could describe it?
Oh, exciting. I mean, just incredible. The energy, and you never experience anything like that. Now, it's like not one of it's not one of the most visual concerts that I've been to or experienced, but it's like seeing these people and feeling the experience, I think, was super meaningful to me.
And what was one of the craziest like visual concert experiences from a production standpoint that you've been to?
Max, again, is one of the biggest creativity conferences, and the stage design and all the massive production company that we work with to all the creatives that go into it. Like, it is one of the most immersive experiences you'll probably ever see on stage. I would say a lot of signals and things that I've got a lot of swipe from early Daft Punk days. There's some of their staging design, lighting systems, like some of the coolest shit you'll ever see, right? But like a lot of that stuff is kind of influenced where we're like, oh yeah, maybe design the stage a little bit this way, or like, the geometry or the way that we're going to see the stage might be designed this way, and the lighting will actually have this effect, and maybe we'll extrude part of the stage because it can sit forward or float, or, it's kind of like a little, I don't know, fun place to exist and play in. But I would say, early Daft Punk, like 06, 05, probably that range, where it was just, their kit was incredible. Like, nothing like you had ever seen. It kind of really broke through. And that was part of a lot of staging design decks and lighting decks and visual design decks for a while. It was really impressive.
No, that's huge. And the reason we kind of juxtapose those questions one after another is because, the kind of goal is with Vibes and Logic is to bridge those worlds, going from where does Vibes and Logic live in between, AJ's dream concert of the Beastie Boys and Daft Punk at Madison Square Garden, and AJ reclining with a glass of wine at his house, right? And having Vibes and Logic live in between those two experiences. So I think you've painted a really cool picture, because nothing beats just kicking back with a glass of wine and your favorite song, but also if you could really have kind of further control over that, if you could,
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
an interesting future to think about.
I mean, to geek out on that, everything that we've been building for the last 20, 30 years in terms of interactive experiences is this kind of like game engine mentality to where everything's parametric, right? So you can turn up the intensity or turn down the intensity. And it just means that you're adjusting the experience to your tolerance of, excitement and mood. And you can have a Daft Punk chill lighting experience, and you can have a Daft Punk, the way that was in Coachella,
right.
at Coachella.
No, I love the customization. I can't wait to experience moments where, I could be listening to Nina Simone, sitting on the couch and with the same type of system that is giving off the right environment, like making me feel like I'm in the right environment to have the glass of wine. Or if I'm experiencing the concert mode or whatever it is with people in the house or even virtually, where it's a heightened experience and it all kind of tracks. It does my life the way that I want to do my life, right? And it's not linear. Like it's anything but that. It's very different on a day by day. And it feels like it's something that kind of needs to track. Your environment needs to do a better job of tracking with you and your moods.
When you go to a music festival, your attention is almost demanded to be at the center stage, right? Yeah. And that is, that's concert mode in terms of the way that you describe it. I think a lot of the time, the way that I think families perhaps used to spend time together was when TV obviously didn't exist, only radio, listen to music, and just listening to music with lighting, without a center focus point that demands your attention, is another way to relax, because you can still create the vibe, but the activity can be connecting with the family, playing chess, card games, drinking, a glass of wine with the wife, reading a book, reading blog posts, browsing Behance. It enhances the other activities that require your attention. So you don't have to give up your attention while you're listening to music.
Yeah. I mean, I ultimately, I'd love to have my environment flex to every, like I say, like every one of the things that I want to do, whether it is playing a board game, having a glass of wine, listening to an artist, having a concert experience. Like I think everybody, and we've got a taste of it, right? We're on our way, but like, I think everybody really, really is thirsting for those types of experiences like never before.
That was just such a thing that's left an impression on me when you say that you're still a designer at heart. Who is a designer that you admire, that you kind of feel that you have always wanted to emulate? In whatever it is that you're doing professionally or from a design perspective, who is somebody that really kind of psychically guides you in the decisions that you make?
That's a big healthy question. I mean, I would say, I don't know.
Or any creative that you kind of like, what would he do?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a lot of heroes. I mean, and Paula Scher being one of them, Sagmeister, another, incredible hero who, all these people are super icons, and I've been super fortunate enough to spend time with them, and but they are the icons in the industry. If there's bits and pieces of each one of these individuals where I'm like, wow, that's really inspiring in the way that you think or break down these problems, or the way that you were able to, come in with this solution, and the type of craft that they do is, so incredible. But I would say those two would probably be the ones that I would focus in on. Plus others, Debbie Millman. Like I have a laundry list of individuals that I'm like, wow, they are really someone that I would not love to be, but like I love the way that they think. I love the way that I love their skill. I love how they hone their skill. I'm really amazed by their output, and it's fun to watch and see what they come up with, because they always break the mold.
That's incredible. Ivan, did you guys ever have conversations like this when you guys were coming together, or am I showing you new sides of AJ right now that you've never seen before?
And yet again, another entrepreneurship thing, right? Artists always have to work with limited resources, right? It's about the creativity of making the scene work, or with the tools and environment that you have around you to produce a story.
Right.
And it just, yeah.
Tarantino works with that he still does in his film now that he has the budget and opportunity. He still does kind of his films in the same or similar fashion with those constraints, which is really super interesting.
That's incredible. What are your pet peeves?
Laziness. I mean,
describe laziness though, because I think like in some ways people generalize it, but I
would say those people that don't try as hard as they should, that drives me bananas. When you understand or know somebody's potential and they choose to do something in the least constructive way, that is a massive pet peeve for me. Other pet peeves. I don't know, people being on time, I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty structured in the way that I think about stuff. So
okay. Well, that's incredible. Yeah. Well, that again, the reason I asked, that leads me to the next question. What are you not good at that maybe you wish you were better at?
Golf. I suck at golf. It's a really interesting, I don't know why that's the first thing that popped into my head.
Okay.
It is something that I've always wanted to know how to do, but I seriously cannot wrap my mind around hitting this little tiny ball, like moving my body that way and then hitting a little tiny ball. And I do tons of sports. Like I'm a sports fanatic, but like I can't do it. It's like my Achilles heel. And maybe that's probably why. It's like the one thing I really can't learn how to do. I don't know. It doesn't compute in my head.
No, too. Okay, actually, let's not do that. Have you seen this?
That was the whole point of this interview, by the way. We're editing it down to this 2 minutes here.
So AJ, let's get your creative input on and creative stamp. I mocked this up for Alex yesterday. So this is founder art, which you probably cringe at. But we used Mart's key art infographic over here. We selected a photo from Alex's LinkedIn, and we created his lumen, and we arranged it in a way so it looks like he's getting sucked into the metaverse. In case that wasn't clear.
Alex always wanted to get sucked into the metaverse.
Yes,
that's part of one of his goals.
And I don't know if you read about his lumen, but it actually has wood grain inside him because he's into woodworking.
That's cool. Love it.
His color is blue, so we gave him blue lasers. And as you know, he's into sci-fi, so he's
very telegraphic. It very much lands the Alex Amato-ness.
Yeah, and as a retired individual who's earned his retirement, we gave him bubbles because it's time for him to just enjoy life. At Coachella in the house.
He is definitely enjoying life.
I really struggled with picking a good color for this, and I was wondering maybe Larry can give me a hand with a hex value to replace this type, because it blends in too much in the background, and I need some creative direction from you. And
you might try, instead of going regular or bold with the font too, maybe like a thin version of the font so that it doesn't overpower his name and the Vibes and Logic Advisory.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's pick a font. Here we are in XD. I must have had this ready for you. Where are we going with this?
Roboto condensed. Yeah. Did they have a thin? Or if you actually select no?
Oh, I think they do have a thin. They have a light.
Very light. That's
nice.
Okay.
See, I'm learning.
Color?
I mean, I would look at like the you can grab it from the center of Mart's visual. If you look at I'd pull in like the green, or even try like the lighter blue in there.
Yeah, I tried the blue earlier. I wasn't.
Let's see how that lands. It's not as good. Maybe I don't know. You could play with some of those hues.
The issue is that
lighter magentas or the.
I had it brighter. I had it. So this is what's on the website, and it was too dark.
Yeah, no, it's way too dark.
And I kind of want to go.
Yeah, select it from the visual though, because then you have that continuity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the weight is actually working a lot better now.
I will take this direction and then we'll figure that out. Thank you for your direction.
That's actually looking pretty nice right there.
Oh yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
there it is. All right, so now that we got some free work from you, thank you for that. Just some photos here to share. This is AJ at the Peapods shoot with the Black Eyed Peas. I don't know if you've seen these, AJ.
The Peapods I know. What was this? I don't even know where that came from. I felt excited about the whole scenario and then throughout the peace sign. I don't know. Peace.
I think we all did that. Do you want me to cut this out of the interview?
Oh, I don't care.
You don't care. Okay. All right. So let's give you your lumen. Just want to pull it up correctly on my screen here. And then we're done, AJ.
Your face says it all. I can't wait.
And I'm glad we have this in video too. Someone's at the front door. God, no, I cannot answer this right now. We certainly have to make sure that we forever record your contributions on the blockchain. And the way we're going to do that is by giving you your own Lumen NFT that's in a very special collection just for advisors. So everybody who's part of the Brain Trust, who's kind of helped answer, my calls and my Slacks and giving me valuable advice, we're minting one of those as a thank you and as a sign of appreciation of your guidance and friendship.
That's incredible. We each get our own little piece of light. Right?
You each get a little lumen.
A little piece of light. That's awesome.
In a typical creative iteration fashion, we went through many iterations, but I'll show you the final product, and then I'll show you how I drove Mart crazy for a long time to kind of dial it in.
That's great. Love it. The digital screen glasses are like the 80s funk glasses I love. Clearly, I see the A hat. Yay, we won. We're good.
Yeah. So you always wear something black and simple, right? So like part of the idea was you're clean, organized, you care about your mental fitness. And so we wanted something that looked designy and something that is sophisticated enough, and certainly a lot of red because you bleed Adobe blood like nobody else.
Yes, I do.
That we added the red lasers and of course the confetti, because after every Max conference, it's the time that you get to let loose and actually party. So this is you after a Max conference.
We're pretty good at that. We're pretty real good at that.
Yeah,
that's definitely a strong suit.
And well deserved. Well deserved. So this is you letting loose after delivering another Adobe Max conference, and the party's on, and you and everybody else at the event, we're just in awe, right? Like the whole, we're looking at the stage through the color and light and experience that you've created for us, and you're part of that audience because you're also the consumer of those experiences. So that was the idea behind it.
Love it. Well done, Ivan. Thank you, Mart. I love it. It's great.
Awesome.
Shouts out Mart.
Shout out Mart. Let me show you some of the other guys. So this one was really cool, but it wasn't as Adobe. And here the lasers were red. So we were kind of experimenting with doing the Adobe Vortex. This one, and then we have this one, which is pretty cool. Different kind of color combinations. But ultimately, I think we wanted to do.
I think that one right there fits me the best. I think you nailed the things that I would normally look for.
Awesome.
In terms of a color palette, in terms of the expression. I'm very thankful. Thank you.
Victor, can you explain the glasses? What's the musical term for these?
Those are the Kanye glasses. I think those are the ones that he those are like the Daft Punk Kanye glasses. Those are those were the OG, like, I think, or I guess he kind of co-opted them, but those are the kind of glasses that they began, but they also double as a musical staff. That's the point. They double as like a, you can write the notes on it.
It's awesome.
So it's got a double entendre of party glasses and actual musical functionality.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Well done, Mark.
Awesome. Well, AJ, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You've been super, super generous with your time and guidance and advice. And thank you for supporting me. And if I think no matter what the outcome here is, that we're going to have one of the best music visualizers in the world. And
I guarantee it. I'm really excited about all of it. And always a pleasure. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Great speaking with you.
Yeah, you as well.
Hang on. Let me think about how we want to do the reveal. So here's the thing. We went through 5 iterations. Okay. Do you think I should start with the final one and show it to you, and then show you the old ones, or do you want
to? You always end on the best one. You don't, or the one. Yeah. You always go like it's you do one of 2 things. You leave it the best first or the best last. You never pepper.
Of course, man. Of course. This will not turn into the celebrity roast of AJ. We promise. We promise.
No, we've had some pretty compromising